All right, everyone, so here is a kind of flipped instruction over bacteria, and then it will go into viruses on a second video. So here we go. Bacteria are microscopic unicellular, that means they are single-celled or one-celled organisms, and they lack a nuclear membrane. They can live on land, in water, and in the air, and they can live on living or dead organisms. Most bacteria are heterotrophs, and remember, hetero means other, trophs means food, and so they are able to get food from eating other organisms. This is a scanning electron image of bacteria on a pin. So if you look in this top corner up here, this is just the pin. This is what we can kind of see with our natural eyes. Zooming in, you start to see some colonies of bacteria. Furthermore, you even see like the tip of the pin is not even as sharp as we originally thought. And you can see a lot more of those colonies growing. And then looking here, you can actually see the bacteria itself. There are three different shapes of bacteria. The first one is coccus. That means that it is round-shaped. Bacillus is rod-shaped. Oh, I'm sorry about that. And spirillum is spiral-shaped. If you need to pause as we're going through this to kind of write down your notes, please do so. Bacterium is made up of a thick cell wall that encloses and protects cellular material. There's a flagellum on bacteria. This is that cell wall. There are ribosomes in here. If you notice, there is no nucleus. There is cytoplasm. And there is a nucleoid, which is basically the genetic material. Some bacteria live separately and others remain together to form colonies. Colonies are large groups of bacteria. This image is showing some different colonies that are clumped together. There are bacteria that live as parasites. A parasite is something that takes food or materials from another living organism, and that is what they call their host. Others digest and absorb food materials from dead organisms. These are called saprophytes. Most bacteria are actually beneficial to us. They decompose, and decomposers are organisms that break down dead organisms and return the nutrients back to the soil. And there are even some that are used to produce food and life-saving drugs, such as bacteria that's used to make cheese, pickles, yogurt, vinegar, and sauerkraut. By using methods of gene transplanting, bacteria have been encouraged to produce substances such as insulin. And so basically what this little image is kind of showing you is that DNA is taken out of an animal cell and it's put into a bacterial cell. Replication of that DNA happens, and then they're able to take out that necessary product to kind of help with insulin. That is one way of that. Beneficial bacteria are actually found in the intestines of our bodies, and there's millions of bacteria there. Those bacteria help to digest and produce vitamins that our bodies need. These are a couple of friendly bacteria. You have Acidophilus, Longium, Thermophilus, Biodium. There's a couple. Bacteria are also used in tanning leather, curing tobacco, and even for the production of food that we use for feeding cows. Some bacteria are not beneficial to us, though. Bacteria can spoil food by secreting enzymes in the food, causing it to rot. Along with enzymes, other substances produced by bacteria are released into the food, and some of these substances are toxic, which can make the food poisonous to us and other organisms. Bacteria in large numbers can actually pollute lakes and streams and drinking water. During respiration, remember breathing out, for instance, bacteria reduce the dissolved oxygen content in water supplies. So they're taking in that oxygen and breathing it out. Many bacteria are pathogenic. A pathogen is an organism that causes disease and or infection. Some bacterial diseases of humans are tuberculosis, tetanus, and strep throat. Here you kind of have an image of a stomach. E. coli, this is your image if you've ever heard E. coli before. And staph, this is an image of the bacteria for staph. Antiseptics, disinfectants, and antibiotics are used to basically control those harmful bacteria. An antibiotic is a chemical that can stop the growth of some bacteria. Bacteria are able to produce types that are resistant to certain antibiotics, which is kind of new information and scary for us, because when that happens, new antibiotics must be developed, and not always are we able to develop antibiotics. Bacteria can also be killed in foods by pasteurization, so if you remember Louis Pasteur, through canning, chemical preservatives, radiation, steam and pressure, salt curing, and even dehydration. This is an image of how milk is pasteurized, and so typically what ends up happening is that there's hot water that milk is passed through, not into, oh, I'm sorry about that, and then it's cooled down really quickly, and so it's heated very quickly and then cooled down, and so that way the bacteria can't live. Remember, bacteria typically likes to live at 98.6 degrees like our human bodies. Some bacteria can live anaerobically, and this might cause something called botulism. This is a dangerous type of food poisoning that kind of happens often in foods that have not been properly canned. And this just kind of shows how the toxin is moved into the body and what can actually happen to individuals who have this bacteria.